something brand new. Oh, I wanna grow old in this house with you. I wanna grow old in this house with you. I wanna wake up, go into the kitchen and make you breakfast. I wanna go into our bedroom and make some babies. I wanna put the babies to sleep at night. Go into our living room and watch TV in your arms on our built-in. I wanna grow old in this house with you. I wanna build something brand new. I wanna grow old in this house with you. I wanna with you. I wanna wake up and live in a place that is filled with real love. No judgment, no need for hiding. We can be authentic. And even if we get tired of this house, yeah, we can renovate this house so we can get another house, a vacation home where we can do it all together. I wanna grow old in this house with you, with you. I wanna build something brand new. I wanna grow old in this house with you.
Happy Friday! Happy Friday, family. No fly. Tia, truth be told, Liz, let's get it.
Hand in hand we'll build forever love. Made to last just like brick and mortar. Got us a strong foundation. Highs and lows can't shake it. I feel safe inside this place that we call home. I wanna go home in this house with you. I wanna build something brand new. I wanna grow old in this house with you. I wanna grow old in this house with you. Any day I wanna be here with you, yeah. Slowly. Kids running around, barbecues outside. House with you.
I'm gonna run that back one more time, y'all. I love the beat. Come on.
I wanna grow old in this house with you.
I wanna grow old in this house with you.
Feel something brand new. Oh, I wanna grow old in this house with you.
Happy Friday, Marianne.
I wanna grow old in this house with you. I wanna wake up, go into the kitchen and make you breakfast. I wanna go into our bedroom and make some babies. I wanna put the babies to sleep at night. Go into our living room and watch TV in your arms on our built-in. I wanna grow old in this house with you. I wanna build something brand new. I wanna grow old in this house with you. I wanna wake up and live in a place that is filled with real love. No judgment, no need for hiding. We can be authentic. And even if we get tired of this house, yeah, we can renovate this house so we can get another house, a vacation home where we can do it all together. I wanna grow old in this house with you, with you. I wanna build something brand new. I wanna grow old in this house with you. brick and mortar. God is a strong foundation, highs and lows can shake it. I feel safe inside this place that we call home. I wanna go home in this house with you. I wanna build something brand new. I wanna grow old in this house with you. I wanna grow old in this house with you.
Sugar daddy.
Slow down, any day I wanna be here with you, yeah. Slowly, I wanna be.
What's happening?
Kids run around, hey, barbecues outside. Hey, in this house with you. Living in this house with you. Holidays spent here growing our love.
What's up, y'all? Thank you for sliding. What's up, Dynamicist is in the building.
What's good, everybody? What's happening, cuzzo?
What's happening?
We in here though.
We
in here.
We got a Rick Ross looking like somebody said you looking like Rick Ross. Come on, money.
Who said that?
True.
First of all,
you know she's so messy. We can't even get going good.
First of all, here we go. Here we go. We just got here and she's starting shit already. This the shit I be talking about right here.
This is what I'm talking about. It's Friday and I'm so glad to see everybody. I'm Nirvana.
And I am the Dynamicist. And
we're Unlatched. That's why you come every week or whenever we're here. Hi, guys.
No, you starting to?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, shit happens. We gonna be here one day of the week unless there's an emergency. Now we gonna try for Thursday. Might be a Wednesday every now. So listen, you guys gotta understand. We gotta shake it up because you niggas get comfortable. So we gotta keep you on your toes. Look at SD. SD's never here. See, we here on a Friday, and SD
he's here on
Fridays. He's
here on a Friday though. He's here on a Friday, and that's I think it just works sometimes like that. I love to see y'all here though. I'm glad y'all here though. I'm glad y'all here with this on this one. I'm gonna get to the slander in a minute.
Not the slander.
Yeah, because there's a lot of slander going on in this here chat. It's a lot of it. Ooh. I don't know. What is you really trying to say? Let's deal with it real quick.
Oh, you want to just talk about it right?
No, because I'm trying to figure out something. What is this a compliment or is this one of them backhanded type shits?
The Rick Ross?
Yeah.
I like Rick Ross is giving
what?
Money. He's giving boss. He's giving what? Black man. He's giving. I don't know what else he's giving. Now you're gonna have to ask Truth. I don't know.
Okay. I'll take those. You know what? Maybe it's my fucked up point of view because I'm not knowing. I'm trying to figure out what you really trying to say.
You're giving Big Daddy, but they don't know Big Daddy, so you look like Big Daddy.
Say less. Give me 1 second.
Tia said,
"Just give me 1 second."
1 second. Wait, he wants a second, y'all. Where did we start?
No, just 1 second. Watch it.
Okay, we got. Oh, I like that picture that he has up right now. That is a good picture, Jay. That's giving looking into the future. That's giving GQ. That's giving Polo. I don't know. That's giving I don't know what it's giving. I appreciate y'all. So look, Big Daddy is our grandfather, by the way, you guys. SD, I'm glad to see you. Everybody, thank you for coming. So listen, the title says you came back and you're the same.
No, I think you were saying about my picture though. I feel you on that though.
I like that picture.
I like that picture a lot though.
I never seen you took it yourself. Were you holding the phone like this, or did you have somebody with a midget take it? I'm just saying, it could have been a little person.
No. You know, in this part of my journey, I'm starting to realize I got an eye for pictures. So I'll be out, I'll see some, I snap some shit, and it be looking pretty good to me. It
Hmm.
do. So no, Tia wasn't there. She's about the only little person I know.
Come on,
And
come on, come on. Here we go. This is Tia, guys. Sick of it, Marianne. They're okay. They want consistency, is what I'm hearing. This is what
listen,
I'm
listen,
hearing.
I don't even see Tia all the time. So we don't want to hear that shit from Tia.
Tia, you
Okay.
getting in trouble.
We don't want to hear that shit. Now maybe a few other ones, maybe you could say something.
Hmm.
But we here though. That's
We are.
it's 2025. Let's just get something out. Okay.
Look
Ladies
who's
at
here.
TikTok,
I haven't
appreciate y'all for
seen the
sliding.
ladies of It Talk, but I've seen them around. I mean, I
That's,
haven't seen them on here. I wonder if I'm subscribed? I need to go check. Ladies, do you guys still upload? I haven't seen you in a minute. And I'm on my new page. I need to make sure I'm subscribed to everybody. Okay, listen. Spiky asked us what is the topic. Um, the title says eyes wide shut. What does that mean, Jason? Dynamicist.
okay. So the idea behind this topic in particular is
Mm-hmm.
why do we often miss the forest for the trees? Right? Why do we look, we see something, we know what it is, but yet we believe it's something totally different. And I can understand the concept when you want to reframe something. And usually that's when you want to take a scenario and there are nuances to it. But we're talking about outside of the nuance, right? There's moments, and it seems like we often overlook and we miss critical shit. And there's reasons for that, I believe, but I think that's something that definitely needs to be brought to the forefront because there's a lot of there are a lot of pieces or components to your journey that when we miss those certain points, we miss these little things, we keep fucking around in this little repetitive cycle type shit. And that's the piece, right? It's like I'm here, I'm looking, but I really seeing what the fuck I need to be seeing? And
So,
so taking an introspective look, but
mm,
also with objective eyes. And I think that's kind of this play on this piece that I think we can kind of try to articulate from.
mm-hmm.
Does that
So,
make sense?
uh, yeah. So, I don't know if you okay. So the way this topic came up is if you guys aren't familiar, there is a young guy. He's 21 years old. His name is Travis Hunter. He's a black young man. Um, from Florida and went to high school in Georgia. He just won the Heisman Trophy. He has a lot of accolades. I was reading about his story the other day. Um, just in general on Wikipedia. But anyway, the reason this came up is because the dynamicist mentioned it the other day, and a lot of people this young man has a girlfriend, and nobody, it feels like he should be with this young lady. And he's basically young man telling everybody to mind their business. Okay. So dynamics is, with that being said, you thought about him, and then your thing was, why can't he see what everybody else is seeing, or
Yeah.
a little
Why
bit?
is he missing it? Like, and what's causing him to miss these critical points? Because we all know the importance of the people that you co-labor with, right? And being married before, obviously, I know firsthand how important that is. And a lot of us, I think we can attest to that. And whether you've been married or not, but sometimes certain relationships you've had, you can look back and say, God damn, like my life pivoted like a motherfucker right here. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they say hindsight is often 2020, right? So it's very clear when I look back, I can see, God damn, that was the spot right there. If I just would have made a different decision right there. And I think it's to me is somewhat heart wrenching because I'm watching this unfold. Now we know. Let's make sure something is very clear. I don't know this individual personally. I don't typically weigh in on people's scenarios, but in this particular instance, and outside of a therapeutic type of scenario, as a father, I'm concerned. As a brother, I'm concerned. As a mentor, I'm concerned. As a friend, I'm concerned. As an observer from the outside looking in and just wanting to see the best and things work out in the best way for people, I'm very concerned.
Concerned
And
for Travis Hunter.
I'm very concerned. But I we're talking about him, to some degree, but I actually see this playing out on a larger scale too, though.
So let
I
me do
see
this
this with a lot of men.
we spread out into other things. I want people to know. I'm gonna play a video so you guys know who Travis Scott is and get a little history on this is where it kind of started before we spread out to everybody else. So I'm gonna share my screen. So listen, and you don't have to. This is not about football, but I just wanted Dynamics to kind of spread a little insight as to where we're going with this story. So as you look at this clip, he's saying he's concerned, and a lot of people are concerned for this young man. So I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to put up a fair use disclaimer to go across the bottom of the screen here in just a moment.
Is that something new that we have to do?
Well, I'm going to start doing it, because if I play somebody else's content.
Baby.
Oh, that's what's up.
I said I love you first on accident, though. It was
How the hell you said on accident, bro?
It was on accident. Do you remember
I love you. Oh, I ain't mean to say that.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's literally what happened. We would he would drive. Wait, no, I would drive. He didn't have a car. I would drive and I would drop him off somewhere and I'd be all right, I love you, bye. And remember, and I used to be like, oh, I didn't mean that.
Okay, so in today's video, we got to break down and expose a lot about this Travis Hunter situation with his fiance. We got some video footage of proof that it was Travis Hunter's fiance brother that initially got them involved with each other. Remember how his fiance lied about that.
I didn't doubt him. I just didn't respond to him. He wasn't my type. So then I left him.
I wasn't her type.
I left him in my DMs for 2 months. And then finally I answered him. But I didn't want to be nothing. I just wanted to just be friends. We could be friends. And then after I finally answered him on Instagram, then we texted for
a long ass.
a long time. Another 2 months. And then he was friend zone because I didn't he was like, am I friend zone? I was like, yes. I was not into him. And then finally I had to go to a friend's birthday dinner and I didn't want to go by myself. So he was like, oh, I'll go with you. And then he went with me and then we was in love.
Yeah, we was in love ever since then. We hung out the
Literally
next weekend.
Yeah.
No, that was during the week.
We went to Top Golf. That was our first day, Top Golf.
Yeah,
and then
I was still in high school.
Yeah.
And I had school the next day.
The next day.
I don't know. So Travis, when he first ever DM'd me, when we first met, I said I left him in my DM for 2 months, and people said, "Oh, she left him in his DM until she figured out who he was." That is not true at all. The real reason Travis sat in my DM for 2 months is because he DM'd me when he had a girlfriend, and her name was in his bio, so I instantly knew he had a partner. So I exited the message, and he sat there until he was single. I don't do home wrecking. I'm not a side piece. I don't stand for any of those things. I support women. So I would never do that to another woman because I would never want it done to me. So I ignored him until he was single. That's the real reason he sat in my DM. Then the second thing, when I said he wasn't my type, I did not mean attractiveness. I don't have a physical type, period. No two men that I previously dated look the same. My first one was a white cowboy. Second one was a Mexican soccer player. Then I dated a black man who's a SoundCloud rapper. And then Travis. So I have never dated the same type physically. I don't care about what people look like or what they can give me. I date people for who they are as a person, how they honor God, and how they treat the people around them. And Travis is all the above. So when I said he wasn't my type, I meant because he was younger than me. I had never dated no one younger than me, and he had cheated on his girlfriend. I don't know if your type is cheaters, but mine isn't. So no, he wasn't my type at first off of those two things, but that didn't discredit the fact that I was attracted to him. That's obviously why I gave him a chance.
She said in that video, when she said Travis Hunter wasn't her type, that she took 2 months to even reply back to his initial message when he had reached out. The reason why Travis Hunter wasn't her type was because he was a cheater. Not once in any of those clips did she say or mention her brother was the reason why she started talking to Travis Hunter. Remember, she was saying in that initial 2 months, she just said she just ignored it and she didn't know anything about him. It wasn't like she researched him and looked him up and then she had contacted him. We now know the truth behind this, and we now know what Shannon Sharp was saying about her is absolutely correct.
I left him on for my inbox. Well, you know, he's younger than me and he cheated. You see, now you threw that man on the bus. We didn't need to know that. We did not need to know that. Why you put that man business in the street? Are you perfect? Look, I don't like the part of oversharing in a relationship because it was unnecessary. And now it makes me, it's none of my business, but it paints you in a bad light. Oh, he wasn't your type, but now he is my type. Well, it seems like your type might be George Washington, Ben Franklin, Ulysses S. Grant. It might be some of those types. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So in this video footage, I want to show this clip of Travis Hunter revealing in an old podcast clip that resurfaced that it was her brother that got them to start talking because the brother saw the message one day going through her Instagram and he was like, yo, you don't know who this is? This is Travis Hunter. Like, you need to talk to this guy. He is somebody. And that's what got her to start talking. Not her saying, oh, it was just some party I wanted to go to and then I reached out to him. I knew that was BS because it didn't even make sense. All of a sudden, you don't have no type of friends to go to a party with you and you just contact Travis Hunter, some dude that you don't know. That just didn't make sense at the time. But now it makes sense, and now this is being put together because the internet revealed this clip right here. Let's check it out.
How'd the story start, love story?
Bro, it's crazy. It's kind of funny because now her brother is like my best friend.
Yeah, I see y'all rocking a lot together.
Yeah, he's here at the house, but he's at work right now. But like, he seen her phone one day. He went to her phone one day, and I texted her on Instagram, and he seen that text message. He's like, "You don't know who this is?" So he was like, "You don't know who this is, bro?"
He's a real wingman.
She was. Hey, he was a good wingman.
He was fine.
She was like, "Boy, I don't care who that is." But she seen my text message a long time ago. She just never.
Yeah, she was ignoring you.
She left you on red, gang?
Ignore you.
Wow. And that's when I was nothing. So yeah. I don't care about it. And like, she still don't even know why she talked to me.
Seemed like she keeps you grounded.
Okay, so that's the clip of Travis Hunter revealing that it was that got her to initially to start talking to him and respond back to those messages. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of the message was from her fiance brother, especially now that Travis Hunter said in that clip that her fiance brother is his best friend and he lives with them. Man, this seems like a situation of these two people is lining Travis Hunter up from the beginning. And the deeper that this stuff continues to get, it just shows you how she is trying to line him up, especially when we got news of prenup situation. And apparently she wants to get married in Tennessee. And even Shadur Sanders was confused, like, why Tennessee? Why not do it at Pop's crib?
If I could go on any vacation around the world, where would it be?
I don't know. It's wherever your girl tell you, for real.
No, it's not, boy. I got one. I got one.
Nah, bro. I've been telling you let's go on vacation, bro. We could, you know what I mean? We could all go on a trip, bro. But you always want to be secretive, bro.
No, I don't, bro. I do want to go.
You do. You never tell me when y'all going, so I can plan.
Bro, because I don't go nowhere.
Excited about the wedding?
Yes, bro. Well, I'm just ready to go eat, then do my thing. That's it.
When you
Hang
get
out with the
married?
guys, hang out with the family. May 24th next year, bro.
Oh, you already got a date?
Yes, bro. Right after a rookie minicamp. Yeah. Bro, yes, we got a date.
Where's it gonna be at?
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
So why'd you pick Chattanooga, Tennessee out of everything?
A good venue, bro. She want to have a good venue. Enough for everybody to.
Why don't you just have it at that house?
Oh boy, that would have been tough too, though.
It's not too
That
late.
would have been too. Nah, it's definitely too late. She already paid for everything. It's over with.
Of all the places that y'all can get married, you said it's a nice venue. It's nice venues everywhere, bro. It's so nice, bro. In the scene, the laws in Tennessee pertaining to people who may have bad intentions. Tennessee have loose laws, and this is one of them. Loose interpretation of prenups. Courts enforce prenuptial agreements, but challenges based on claims of unfairness or duress might leave gaps for manipulation. So if you had a prenup that was geared towards you, 90%, they can see that as unfair. Alimony awards. Spouses with higher income or significant assets may face long-term financial obligations if the marriage ends in divorce. Which brings me to the next topic. No fault based grounds for divorce. She can divorce you for anything. You can divorce her for anything. But if the alimony is set up, even though you divorce her, you still might have to come out a significant amount of your assets.
So now when you put two and two together, her brother was the reason why they started talking. It wasn't because she just wanted to go to some party and that's why she just randomly responded to his inbox. And it wasn't because she didn't know anything about him. That all right there is a lie. She didn't mention anything about her brother. She lied about this stuff, guys. She said she didn't know anything about Travis Hunter. And Travis Hunter is so gullible. He's not even putting two and two together. He even defended her in one of his response videos, like, you know, my girl don't know anything about me and she ain't know nothing about me and blah, 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 blah. But when you go back and look at this old clip that resurfaced, clearly it was the fiance brother that put them on. And Travis Hunter, he's just still not getting it and not putting two and two together because he got way too many yes men around him, people that's not checking him on the situation. He needs to get far, far, far away from this girl, in my opinion, especially because he's trying to rush him getting married at the end of rookie camp when he signs his NFL contract. Remember, Travis Hunter in that clip revealed that she picked out everything. She picked the date. She's picking where they get married at. And Travis Hunter is just so gullible, man. And it's just crazy that this is still going on. So that's it for today's video, guys. If you like.
All right. Let me stop sharing. Dynamicist. You know, that clip says, I tried to find a clip that would kind of break everything down a little bit. I don't know. That it's kind of heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah, especially when you consider, and you guys, like, this is only a snippet, right, of some of the details that have been out there. I think he did a pretty good job, though, of painting the picture and, if you will, putting out that data. There is one other one where Travis was talking about, you know, how much he loves her, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And and this is what I mean, because to a degree, we're obviously sensitive about commenting on other people's scenarios, especially when you're serious about it, right? Because you really don't know. But there's a lot that's just not adding up, and what wasn't brought up in this particular video was some of the other things that took place that really kind of pins people's opinions, if you will. And I haven't, to be perfectly honest with you, there aren't many scenarios, even when it came to the Diddy situation, you still heard people's comments about, well, Diddy is, don't go so hard on him, blah, 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 blah. Majority of people's comments have been, bro, get the fuck away, especially men. But I've seen a lot of women weigh in on this, and a lot of black women who feel like she doesn't have the best intentions for you. And to have the consensus that I'm noticing in this particular situation really brings to light this piece. It's like, why the fuck do we miss this?
Mhm.
And I can honestly say there have been moments in my journey that I've missed some things as well. I've missed um, potentially some red flags, right? But those things weren't always highlighted by other people. And obviously, I'm not a celebrity. So my life isn't under that close of a microscope. I've been in some scenarios where you had a lot of eyes on you all the time. And there is a different way you move when stuff like that is happening. There
Mhm.
legitimately is. But that's also why you tend to limit the type of information you can put out there. Right.
Mhm.
So I'd be mindful about that. But barring that, in this scenario, it's very disturbing because and I wish we had a clip of this one when he got his award after the game in one particular instance. This is not the Heisman, but they won a really important game, and he was obviously the star of the game. And when the camera pans to when she encounters him, she
Mhm.
kind of like cold shoulders him in that moment
Mhm.
on live national television. Just cold shoulders him, right? No situational awareness. Now, some people say, well, she's young, she doesn't know. And I get that.
Mhm.
But is that really what we're dealing with? Right? Because everyone by this point in their journey knows how to, well, especially for black folks, we know how to code switch. We all know how to put on our game faces. We all know how to suck some shit up in the moment. We all know how to do that, right? So I'm not excusing that behavior for the sake of her being young. This is
Mhm.
a national television moment. However, but what it does tell me is that there's some other things going on potentially with her. And in my opinion, entitlement it screams entitlement. It screams that I'm the bag. I'm the catch. Look at
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
Fuck what you got going on because you a little boy to me. And I think for a lot of us, and especially men that I've heard actually talk about this scenario, we're sharing a lot of the same sentiments without ever really actually acknowledging this one particular component. And that's the part that I really want to zero in on is what why don't you see what is clearly evident? Why don't you know what value you actually possess? And I'm a father to boys and a girl, and I'm a grandfather to a baby girl as well. So I'm very sensitive about disrespect. I'm an uncle, males and females. I'm very sensitive about disrespect of any kind because I know that disrespect doesn't change because you throw a fit, you throw a tantrum. People don't choose not to disrespect you because of that.
Mhm.
People are can be very disrespectful because that's the world that they live in. You don't change that. This is one of the things that we do even here on the internet, right? Which is why you ignore the fuck out of trolls. Who
Mhm.
gives a fuck what they say? The more energy I give you, then you continue. But really,
Right.
you're irrelevant to me, right? You're irrelevant to me and everything else that's going on. Whatever lies you tell, whatever weird ass stories you try to concoct, whatever shit that's ill timed, whatever the fuck the case may be, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because I'm too big to respond to it.
Mhm.
So I say that to say I understand his standpoint, but I'm just very concerned because he's not seeing this. And the problem with that is the stakes the stakes are very high. And I was talking to my nephew recently, and I started to notice some things even with him and other young men. And do you know this? This is something that I came across as a result of having these conversations. And I never tied this in. But there are people that never move past moments, and they live within those moments all throughout their adulthood. And in essence, it's in a lot of ways, right? They have now stunted their growth emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and so on and so forth. And when you start to dig and you get into the layers, and this is why I'm such a proponent for doing what I call going back to the scene of the accident, right? And what that means is there comes a point where I can return back to those scary moments, and I look at those scary moments as an objective observer, where it's me, whatever the moment was, I see the image of myself. But at this point, I'm actually separated emotionally from the details that are transpiring. And it's in that moment is when I now can take authority over the narratives, and I can begin to understand. I can see detail that I never saw before. And those details are going to help me to change the narrative, especially, and this is especially helpful when you find yourself stuck after one point. But um and I definitely want to touch on that piece, because I think as men and as people, as adults, we're not vulnerable to share with the younger generation. And I think this is something that I'm coming to with this whole piece, because he has a mother, and I'm
You
sure he
talking
has.
about Travis?
Yes.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah, he has a mother, and I'm sure he has a father somewhere.
I think he's
Um,
in jail, or was it?
yeah.
Mm.
Um, and without going too deep into it, I do want to say though is that you have to help shape your children's identity. You cannot leave their identity up to chance. Identity is not what they do. We put a lot of emphasis in this culture on preparing our kids for school. That doesn't develop your identity. Identity is character development. Identity is knowing how to draw motherfucking boundaries. Identity is knowing that you have value beyond the circumstance. Identity, and you speak to identity, is when kids fuck up. You don't criminalize them. You don't demonize them. You build them. We can address a scenario.
Mm.
That doesn't mean that that in the midst of me addressing the scenario, this is when I get my shit off
Mm.
for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we see fast forward down the road is those wounds sometimes don't heal.
Yeah.
And when those wounds don't heal, it opens the door for all manner of fuckery going down the road. So this is why I'm just so concerned. Because yes, he's free to love whoever the fuck he wants to love. No one's saying that. That's not even the issue. No one's brought up nationality, race. No one's brought up any of that shit. It's the character. And it's clearly identified. She, for lack of better terms, you could do better than that. And at some point you should be able to draw a line about what is okay and what isn't. And a lot of this shit don't pan out well down the road.
So let me ask you this: when do you think age has to play a part? Because I mean, I'm sure it does to some degree, because he's 21 years old, and if we think about where we were at 21 years old, we didn't have $6 million. He did know her from high school. Youngsters meet all kind of ways. I do think she is spinning the narrative in reference to the how they met and all that. You know, all this stuff is coming out. The brother knew who he was, and so the brother's pushing her like, this is somebody you need to fuck with. Now, that happens a lot of times, but it's just not in a magnifying glass. Yeah, because I mean, how many of us in high school, you know, wanted to be with the jock or wanted to be with the prom queen? And then until you knew she was the prom queen, you know, you wasn't really feeling her, or until you knew, you know, whatever the case. And your friend pushes you to go for it, and you go for it, and they're like, oh, I mean, because I'm a grown woman, and my friends pushed me to be with my husband, and I was in my 30s. I wasn't interested. It was my friends who told me, you need to fuck with him for real, and I was in my 30s, and their opinion shaped why we're together today, and we're still together. And I was on some bullshit, some superficial bullshit, and my friends could see that, and told me to wise up. Okay, so that's just another way of looking at it. And I think, you know, at any age, when we talk about seeing the forest for the trees, one thing I heard Kevin Gates say, and I know he didn't make up this quote, but I listened to a lot of things. He has some motivational things he's put out. And I was listening recently, and he said, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. And I don't know where that
that's old
comes from, but I heard him say it. But yeah, I mean, it's like, and that's true, because it's kind of like, to speak to what we're talking about here, it's like a motherfucker has to be ready to grow, and I'm gonna say grow because that's how we're looking at it, you know, or to change or whatever. And I'm wondering if that's at any age, in your 20s, in your 30s, 40s. It's like, yeah, motherfucker can't see what you could see. Now, the question is, will that person that you're trying to give wisdom to, are they open to getting it? In my case, I was open to it, and be talking 15 years later, I'm still here. But what if I wasn't? I wouldn't be married to him today. So I mean, let's talk about that. I don't know.
Do you think that when you were in that process with meeting your husband, and your friends had to kind of identify that there was a superficial, right, a superficial basis in what you were doing, and then you obviously was able to see it. The question I want to ask though about that is how did that enable you to make a decision though?
How did what enable
Their words? How did how did their words help you to make a decision?
Because I trusted them.
Okay.
That's the only reason I listened. Because if I didn't trust their opinion, or how much they love me, or what, that might be where the maturity came in, because I was mature enough, compare myself to in my 20s, okay, or whatever, 21, you know, that using his age versus 30 something, you know, my friends who I trusted and loved told me something, and I was wise enough to know the validity that was in that. You know what I'm saying? Whereas in my 20s, you be like, nigga, you don't know what you're talking about. That's because you're immature yourself. You don't know what you're talking. You don't know. You know that Dion is giving you valuable advice, that all these people on the internet, I know it may seem superficial, I'm sure there's people in his real life telling him the same shit everybody else telling him, but if he's not ready to hear it or can't grasp it, and he needs to go through it, he's just gonna go through it. You know, and it's fucked up. And to your point, like speaking like with your nephew or your kid, or this is anybody with children, I think a lot of times as parents and mentors, when you love somebody and they're young and you want to see them go a certain way, and they're not listening, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating because you want and feel like they need to see it your way today or else. And that's not true.
And it's not. I'm a firm believer in this piece is the burden of communication is on the communicator. What that means is this. It does not matter if you are saying and telling someone, hey, turn left here, because if you turn right, there's a cliff. And you know that turning left is going to save their life. Turning right is going to send them down a road and there's no return from that road, right? It doesn't matter if it's that significant. Your method of communication still is where the power is going to be at, right? And what I mean by that is this. If you're speaking Japanese and they're Korean, it don't matter how loud you get. It doesn't matter how much emphasis you put on it. They will not understand the fucking message. So what does that mean from a communicator standpoint? The burden is on us. If I know something that can benefit someone, the burden is on me to communicate to them in the best way that they understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I carry that.
Real quick. Keep talking. I gotta tell Ralph bye.
And I carry this concept in all aspects of my experience, even if it's frustrating, because sometimes it challenges you to come up with new ways to communicate. It challenges you to come up with another approach. And anytime you start making those adjustments, you feel like in some ways that this adjustment you're making is almost like you're having to do extra just to communicate a message, or you're having to augment or adjust yourself. And it's like, well, I don't have the problem. I know the information. They just need to get it. Yeah, that's great. But it doesn't change where the responsibility is. The responsibility always falls on the communicator, because you are in the position to share the information. The difference is, and I think this is one part that gets missed, is that is based in a servant leadership type of model. So even though I'm a parent, I'm still a servant leader. Yes, I stand above my children. Absolutely. Do they come to me for certain things? Absolutely, they will. Am I responsible for them in a lot of ways? Yeah, absolutely am. And I carry that responsibility and I hold it very highly. However, that being said, if they are not understanding the message and the language that I'm using, the challenge then falls on me. You have two options here. You can say, fuck them kids, or I can pivot with purpose.
Which means change the way you're communicating?
Adjust the communication style. Because here's what I've learned about people. Right? And I saw this with children actually as I was a school teacher for a minute, and after school teacher, and I worked at a daycare. And I would work with these kids and we're from like 4 to like 11, right? 5 to 11 actually. And what I noticed is that even in the same classroom, right, is that how I communicated differed, and it had to differ based on who I was communicating to. Now, this is just a regular example. Everyone knows that you can't talk to an 11-year-old the way you talk to a 4-year-old. However, What I don't think is always taken into consideration is that even people who have been around you for a long time, they're constantly evolving and changing.
Mm-hmm.
Key, I really believe the key is to tap into who they are. And the way we tap into them is by tapping into us. So let me go ahead and I'll break this down and make it as simple as possible. The challenge that I felt when it came to trying to communicate a message was that, you know how that old saying was, well, do what I say type shit. You ever heard people say that? Just do what I say, right? Well, you did this. Do what the fuck I say. And we typically are the generations before us would leave it right there. And they felt like that's your responsibility. Just listen and do what I tell you to do, irrespective of what your thought is. I think with this generation, there was a change because we are knowledge seekers. And even this younger generation now, they're even more advanced than we were. So you can't just give them something without giving them the information that helps them to make a decision, because that's the empowerment piece. The challenge for me, though, as a communicator is that it requires that I dig deeper. I dig deeper into taking that I'm taking a different stance when it comes to something that I really want you to get. And it would be so much easier if I could just tell you to do this shit and you did it. But it doesn't really work like that all the time. Sometimes it does, but not all the time. And I think too often people are getting lost in the information's getting lost in translation. It's like, if it's not working and not producing results, adjust the method.
Yeah,
So
but okay, so let me ask you this. I get what you're saying. Yeah. But to use Travis Scott as an example,
Hunter,
again, Travis Hunter. He's 21 years old. So he's heard it from he's hearing the same message from multiple sources, multiple people, and I'm sure they're not all saying it the same way. Sometimes you can adjust as much as you want to. If the motherfucker's not ready to receive it, it doesn't matter how you adjust. I mean, I guess you should still try if you love them.
and that's all.
But
And
I mean,
that's
no
really all that there is. That's the part, though, is not settling for, well, I said it and that's that, right? Sometimes you do have to just adjust it. Obviously, my 5-year-old is a lot like, he's himself, but he has a lot of me in him, in the respect that he's a thinker. And I've noticed this because they say he throws tantrums. And I didn't know he knew how to do that, because he doesn't do it with me. And rather than taking this stance of, well, I'm dad and he, whatever, it's not because of that. It's not because there's this threat of violence or whatever the case may be in particular with him. Really what it is, though, is I think for him is when I ask him to do something or I'm giving him something, he has questions that come back as a result of that. Well, Dad, well, why is that? Well, why are we doing this? Or why do we have to go over here and do this? And it's something I started doing with him when he was little, was I would tell him exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go here. We're going to go there. Then we're going to go here to this for you. Right. And do you know that he would just be cool that whole time? We go to the first spot, second spot. Now, if I deviate, he's tracking that deviation. And then he's got a question about the deviation. But I use that as an example because what I've seen with him is, and I did this one day with his mother, and I didn't know she was paying attention, but I found out later. He started doing some stuff and kind of not listening to her. And I looked at him and I went over there and I just started talking to him. And I said, listen, I need you to do this. I need you to stay out of the kitchen. I need you to do this. You can sit here. I said, after we're done with this, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to let you do X, Y, and Z, or we'll go and do whatever it was. So whatever that other third thing, he looks at me and the little nigga was like 3, 4 at this
Mhm.
time. He just looks at me and says, "Okay." And he sits there, grabs his little shit, and sits there on the couch and cools it. And he don't say nothing else.
Mhm.
But he was tracking the movements of everything we were doing. And then when we got to that point, he pops up and I said, "Okay, come on, let's go. Let's go do whatever it was." And so she noticed that normally at that point he would spaz out and start acting up, right? But he
Mhm.
did. And what I mean by all I'm saying is that I think it's important for the communicator to adjust the message if you're not getting it. What this comes back to, though, as a 21-year-old man, and Truth said something earlier, was that, hey, could anybody have come to me at a certain time and said something to me about the decisions that I was making? And yeah, you could have, but it depended on how much I valued what you had to say. It really did. And there's some lessons I had to learn, right? And granted, and this could be the case for Travis. And I'm not absolving him of that opportunity to learn through his mistakes.
Mhm.
I think the part though that really does concern a lot of us, especially, is because of what you're standing at the doorway of. And the doorway for him obviously is based on um his athletic prowess, the decisions he's made. He's a great student. I think he's like a fucking 4.0,
So are you
3.9.
trying to say like what he has to lose? Is that
He
what
has a hell of a lot to lose. And I think but all kids do, right? All people do, so because your heart is
stakes are
involved.
higher? I mean, it is what
Yeah,
it,
the
the
stakes
stakes
are
are
pretty
higher.
high.
Let's just call a
Yeah.
spade a spade. The stakes are higher. And I think for me is why doesn't he trust us? Why
And
doesn't he
therein,
that's really what the issue is because
yeah.
it is and you can apply this to your children when you're trying to get them to understand and using your example with your son. He trusted you. Okay. So that's a piece of it, I think. And it going back to my story, I trusted my girlfriends, the people who were telling me to chill. So I think what this might be boiling down to is the level of trust you somebody regardless of age, because now we have an example of a 5-year-old, a 21-year-old, a 30-year-old, and at the end of the day, they whatever advice someone is giving you, you have to trust the person. So with somebody like Travis or any, at this point we have a few examples, but what is, I don't know if the solution, I mean, we don't have to have a solution today, but it's like the trust piece. I don't know. I don't know how that
His
works.
as a young man, he has to have identity. If you beat that out of him and you don't instill that in him, he will be open to this bullshit that we see.
If you don't instill it in
Period.
them. Okay.
Period.
And it would should that have already been done by his mother or
Abso-fucking-lutely.
whoever.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. And whether that's because of identity, blase, blase, blah, who knows what the baseline of it is. But there is a legitimate line that has to be drawn and boundaries, right? And teaching people to embrace boundaries. And that's actually something that we see even as adults, like older adults. Like it's challenging for people to operate with boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't start as an adult. That started as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
That started as you not knowing the significance of what a boundary was for you. Because maybe your boundaries were constantly violated. So you never even saw the significance of creating them and standing by them and standing on them. Because boundaries alone will keep you out of a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Just that in itself. As evidenced by this. If you look at yourself now and you see all the things that you've been through, and if you can say that, yeah, I'm better today than I was before, if you look at, well, what things would you do today that you didn't do before? And then the reason why you wouldn't, what you actually will see is that the reason why you don't, it boils down to where you have boundaries that reflect what your values are. Period. Boundaries that reflect my values. That's why my boundaries are present. That's why there's certain things I will tolerate and certain things I won't. Is because I have boundaries that reflect my values. Whereas when I was younger, I didn't have those boundaries. I had the values, but I didn't draw the line for the value piece or the boundary piece. I didn't draw that line. And the reasons why, we can get into a lot of reasons why, but I like to keep shit simple. I boil it down to this: you didn't see the value in it. You didn't see the value in self-preservation in that respect. Because and again, this is not meant to be a scathing critique of parenting, but it fucking is giving a lot to me right now. It's giving a lot. And I'm obviously, I think we're all guilty in some aspects, right? But it's given a lot of that for me because I just don't see the level of self-respect that he should. There's another young guy. I can't remember this kid's name. But he was on national television, and it was during a draft, and his girlfriend reached for his phone, and on TV, this nigga grabbed his shit and looked at her like, "The fuck you doing?"
Right.
Right? It's like,
Yeah.
like, nah.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because even in a simple act like that, what he was, and people say, "Oh, well, he's got something hot," whatever the fuck you might want to call that. Here's what we do know, though: he has a clear boundary of what he will accept and what he won't. You can love people, but if your loving people comes at a detriment to who you are, that's
And
problematic.
and why can't he see it? That's my thing. When it comes to Travis, he can't. You know what? With him, what makes me it really okay. Self-esteem, self-worth. Um, we don't know his complete story, but everybody's talking about how he's not attractive, and like that's part of the whole. I didn't, when she was saying I wasn't attracted to him and he wasn't my type. That's what she was saying. But then she uses some. I've dated all kind of men. That sounded like bullshit. Whatever. Okay. The thing about it is, what I would want for Travis and for my son, for anybody that I love, is that you get your self-worth and you gather that up from the inside out. And that is and it can be so difficult to do because of the society that we're in and the emphasis that we put on superficial beauty. And with social media and all of this bullshit that we basically succumb to and surround ourselves with, it seeps into our being, into our psyche, and we believe the shit. And if we allow, and this is for all of us, if we allow all this stupid shit to dictate our worth, we're in trouble. You're in trouble. And so when we talk about the people we love, including our children, our friends, I'm with you, Dynamics, is when you say, we play a part and we have to take some responsibility, or you should. you know, you should try to instill, whether that's providing resources, books, whatever, whatever it is you do. But I think a lot of his issue, and this is Travis, no matter who tells him how much he has to lose and what he has ahead of him and all of this, if he can't see that, the forest for the trees, if he can't see that for himself, it's falling on deaf ears, regardless of how you communicate it to him in that scenario, because it's been people have tried to communicate it multiple ways. Does that mean we do not try? No, it doesn't. But I also feel like when we talk about boundaries, as the communicator, you also have to have a boundary. And you can only give so much of yourself to someone. And you can only try so hard to get someone to see it your way or to try to figure it out, right? Before you got to let a motherfucker just fall and
Figure it out
and figure it out and do whatever they got to do. Because now I'm tapping into my reserve, trying to get you to see something you're not ready to fucking see. So again, there's a boundary that has to be set. And, I want to say poor Travis, but listen, I don't feel too bad for the nigga making $6 million, or has made $6 million already. 21 years old, bought his mama a house, got his brother Adidas signing deal. I mean, yes, he's going through life shit that us people have to go through anyway without 6 million. So he does have he has some shit to lose, but at the end of the day, his value and his self-worth cannot be in that 6 million. It cannot be in his looks. It cannot be in his athletic ability. That cannot be where he holds his self-worth. So my prayer for him and his journey is that he can tap into that sooner than later, because he has so much that he, going for him. And then hopefully he can turn that around and then be a mentor and help others. And I'm telling you, the best way to communicate, when we're talking about communication styles, the best way somebody can communicate is to show a motherfucker. Be an example of what it is you're trying to communicate. And let a motherfucker figure it out. They'll see it. Like I feel like, your baby boy, everybody around is going to have a different way they communicate things to him, but he knows daddy. He knows how daddy operates. When daddy is around, kids are really smart with that shit, or even people in general, because of the boundaries. They know what they can get away with and what they can't.
Oh, very, very clearly.
With who? Because it'd be like, oh, damn. Okay, mama, that's why you never seen the little nigga throw a fit, because he knows, okay, that ain't gonna work right here. Even at 5 or 6, he know that's gonna lead me down the wrong path if daddy is here.
No, I'm not that.
No, nigga,
I don't be wilding out like that.
No, that's the
truth.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about physical.
But it's true though. It's true.
It's a presence.
There's just, there are certain things, and again, I don't take credit for all of that. What I do say though, and I like what you were saying though, because I think you did add another aspect to it, because everyone is not always in that position. That's not always everyone's responsibility. There's a lot of people I don't say much of shit to. It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But for those that I am impressed to say something to, for whatever reason, that means that there's something that needs to be communicated through me. So I also believe in this concept of being a conduit, right? And that was a prayer that I used to pray regularly, which is, God, if you can get it through me, you can get it to me. So as a conduit I'm just a vessel, and I'm just going to give the message. I'm going to share the information, whatever I can acquire, I'm going to share that said information, because ultimately the goal is to help people and come alongside them in the way that I need to, that I can.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that I have to be everything to everyone, and I don't expect that. I don't think that's hopefully that's not what you hear me saying. So don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that it's your responsibility to change everyone around you. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that if your method is not working,
Mm-hmm.
which means that you are applying a method, and if that method is the method that is comfortable for you,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe the challenge for you is to find another method. When I was talking earlier, I said is I have to go inward. What I mean by going inward is even my resistance to doing something different. There's a lot of shit I be wanting to say to my daughter, because she's 21, 22 now. There's a whole lot of
Damn,
shit.
she's the same age as Travis Hunter.
A whole lot of shit. But I also know my audience. And I know that baby is a lot is like me too. So you come at this little motherfucker heavy-handed if you want to. She gonna prove to you I ain't gotta listen
It's
to
gonna
shit
have
you
the
telling me.
opposite effect. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Cause I know the baby. I know her. I'm aware of how she operates. And I respect the lane that she's in. So I said, okay, well, you know what? Hey, look, daddy's gotta take another road. I'm daddy's gonna take another approach with you. So I sit on the sideline. I'm gonna let you operate. And when you come to daddy, we're gonna talk. Boom. It ain't about, oh, well, I told you. Nah, it ain't none of that. Because you don't have energy for that. You don't have the time for that.
Mm-hmm.
So what we gonna do from here? All right, boom. Let's put it together. Right. And I notice that yields much better results, especially as a young woman, right? Because my goal is not, I don't know what the word would be for the parental dynamic when you are too heavy-handed with the feminine gender. I know when you're too heavy-handed as a female to a male, it's you emasculate, right?
Oh.
I don't know the opposite side of that though. So a father to a daughter, I don't know what that would be called. But what I do know is that shit ain't cool. And because what you end up doing is you end up creating wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And those wounds she carries with her. And so a part of this
When
is
you're too
important.
aggressive, you talking about when you're too aggressive?
Yeah, or when you you don't affirm,
Uh-huh.
her identity, right? Because the identity of a male, there's a certain aspects of a male you have to affirm those things, because that's what
Nah.
he uses in order to make decisions, to lead. And I'm not saying that women don't lead, but these are characteristic traits. So you can't break that out of them. You
Okay.
you can't emasculate them, because
Can't
with
force
young men,
it, the feminine piece. For you're just saying from a guy to a woman, like you
right?
can't force them to be feminine.
Well, you can't. No, you can't deny their femininity and
Oh, you
force
can
them
get
to be
that.
masculine.
Oh, okay, the opposite.
Yeah, you can't do
Okay.
that, because her femininity is important, right? And as a
Mm.
single father, that was something I had to always keep in mind. And I will say though, I think, if obviously, I wish I would have done some things different, and been a little bit more aware of myself at the time. So even now, I work to be much more transparent with her about what my experiences are
Mm-hmm.
and what this looks like. And let's play the whole tape out. Let's look at it from all angles,
I'm
right?
a keep talking, okay? I gotta let the dog out.
And there's no judgment when it comes to that. So I try to be mindful of that, because I think it's important. But so when we're dealing with people, and especially kids, and honestly, this is the part with his story that really bothers me, is that I don't believe that was done enough for him. because there are certain things he would draw a very clear line on now. Which also brings up this point, which is the idea of who like who is the catch, if you will.
With Travis?
Like who's the catch, yeah. And there's another term that I've heard used or coined to reference that, but it escapes me at the moment. Um, but just on that parenting piece, I just feel I'm sensitive to that because we have to do that. And again, if we have them, it doesn't matter where they're at in their journey, right? We pivot when we know better, we do better. But you gotta speak to that part of them because that's what enables them to be able to choose to not choose to deal with toxic ass people.
Yeah.
For
You
men,
gotta
toxic women. For women, toxic
build
ass
them up.
dudes. Or fucking toxic females. Even if they're dealing with their even if it's a same sex scenario, right? It's still, why the fuck do we settle for this toxic shit? It's because that shit goes back to early parts. That didn't just start overnight. So is there anything I can do about yesterday? Fuck no. But is there something I can do about today? Absolutely. So if my method has got me to where I'm at and I don't have a relationship with my children, then make the fucking change. That shit's on you to do. It's not on the kid. Because again, once the ball is in your court, then you volley that motherfucker back. And if they don't respond at that point, then that's on them.
I do
But you
believe
did your
that.
part.
I do believe that. You know, I don't know. I'm trying to keep everything in one place, I guess, because let me just say this. I have firsthand experience with the whole, it's the parents' responsibility to do A, B, and C, and da da da. And I believe that. I do. He knows I'm on the podcast. Hold on one second.
The disrespect.
Hello.
So
Okay, love you.
So yeah, so please just don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying everything
He
is
just
your
told me to make
fault.
sure he closed the garage. I'm so sorry. That's been disrespectful the whole podcast.
Yeah, he could have texted you that. But
He's
nevertheless,
driving and he's in his 60s. Just come on. Communication styles.
she said he's driving. Oh, but so yeah, I'm definitely. Please don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that it's anyone's fault. I'm not saying that it's your fault. I'm not saying that you have to change everything. What I am passionate about is the flexibility piece because
I
we
see.
have to be willing to pivot. We got to be willing to pivot. And if what
Now,
you're doing though is
let
not
me
working,
ask you this. I agree with that with parenting. What about I'm gonna go here. Okay, 702. Exactly. I'm over talking to people, they can do them. I hear that too. I don't know that she's probably not talking about it in the sense from parenting, because would this statement ever really apply as a parent?
I'm over
Can you
talking to him.
ever be over it?
Yeah, you can be over it.
Okay, now I think now she's talking about, I probably like in general, because we're talking about Travis Hunter initially, and it's like, yeah, I know my husband's view on that was, who like this nigga just gonna do it. Who gives a fuck? Why are we in this business? And he's gonna just bump his head. Let the nigga bump his head. He's stuck on that. Like he don't get what he agrees that he's fucking up, but he doesn't care enough to,
Well,
go back and
I'll
forth.
tell you why. I'll tell you another part of it for me. Another part of it is the socioeconomic aspect of it. Because when we were talking earlier, a thought came across my mind, which was this, and this is unique to minorities though. Do you have the opportunity and we do, but the road is a little different for you, and it can be a little different. And so there's certain things that have to be taken into consideration. You know, Robert Brooks was a story of a young man. He's not young, but he's young because he's still, you know, popping and doing what he was doing at least. Um, but another one of those police scenarios, right? And he gets murdered by cops and shit like that. And I've been out and I see young men and I smile because I be looking at them and I think about myself when I was their age and woo woo woo. And I know they mean no harm, right? They don't mean no harm. But there are some things you have to be aware of. And there's a book I'm reading. It's called Between the World and Me. And it was by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And he's writing this story about, he's writing a letter to his son. And he's letting him know about the world that he's entering.
Okay.
As a young man, right? And I get so torn with moments like that because you don't want to take a person's your children's innocence and force them to start thinking a certain kind of way. And I'm not a big fan of that. But am I doing them a disservice by not making them aware of things that are out there and ways in which to carry yourself, right? Or things to be aware of. And I think every species does that. Every species lets them know, hey, here are the things that you can be exploited by. And this is them, right? So if you're going to deal with them carefully. You know, as a gazelle nigga, if you in this motherfucking field, you gotta keep your head on the swivel out here. Because there are lions that sit out here. Listen, the smells that's in the air, nigga. If you stand downwind, always, you know, or whatever the case may be, because that way you can smell what's around you. I don't know, but what I'm telling you is just important. And I think when it comes to these types of scenarios, for me, socioeconomics is playing a huge role because we're talking about building community too. So there's some other factors that have caused us to weigh in on it because I know the significance of what it is that you now are walking into. And I know that that can have generational fucking effects on you, your fucking kids, your kids' kids, kids, and so on and so forth. And we're
Yeah.
fighting this uphill battle to not lose the things that we're fighting for. So I'm an older man. So my standpoint is a little bit different because as an older man, right? They say, my dad used to say, he said, when you start acknowledging your mortality, you realize you're not going to be here forever. Right. And you realize that your children and children's children are going to be here after you. What do you leave for them? And what infrastructures and what things are set in place for them so that they can survive, so they can weather storms? And I'm not even on the whole shit about my name. I don't give two fucks about that. But what I do care about is who they are and will they be able to make it? And will I be able to provide as much as I can for them? I'm very passionate about that. And I think for me, that's the underlying issue with this. This is why it occurs, why it registers for me. I think he's a beautiful person.
And you know what? You know what that brings me to? Let me share this. Let me share this clip with you with Dr. Umar. When what you just shared, what you just said, he's talking about Travis Hunter, and this is his take on it. And I think it kind of goes to what you just said, why it popped in my brain. Let me share it with you and see what you think.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I had no idea he did that, man. But you heard about Travis Hunter and his fiance?
Yes, I have. And I saw that comedian Godfrey had responded to the news that Travis Hunter was engaged and that it had been purported that his fiance had stated that he originally was not her type, but that he had, and I'm paraphrasing here, he had since that time won her over. And with them being engaged, it appears that marriage will be coming at some point in the future, and there didn't seem to be any conversation surrounding a prenuptial agreement. There had been rumors that Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, had tried to communicate with Travis Hunter that you might just want to slow down a little bit. Not to say that she's not a nice lady, not to say she's not the one, but you're moving kind of fast. I mean, I'm saying now, to be the number one football player in the country or number two, depending on how you rank him and Shedeur Sanders. And by the way, both of them are my two favorite college football players and will probably be my two favorite NFL players if they don't start bunny hopping. But anyhow, you have not played an NFL game.
That nigga's consistent.
You have not even been through the NFL draft. You have no idea of the type of women you're going to meet whenever you get to whatever team that you're going to play for. He's still a child. You've only been in Boulder, Colorado, and you've been in Jackson, Mississippi. Why not give yourself some time to explore life before you just jump the hoop with this woman? And I'm not going to say nothing against the young lady. She might be a nice young lady. Obviously, I have issues with it because I believe black men should be married to black women. And this looks like it's going to be another tragic tale of another multi-million-dollar black athlete who sooner or later is going to get divorced and his non-black wife is going to run off with all of his career earnings, as we've seen with so many other athletes and continue to see on a regular basis. So I'm not for it at all. But again, I'm not besmirching her character. I'm sure she's a fine young lady. But for him to be engaged already and for him to be about to get married and he doesn't even have a prenuptial agreement, are you out of your mind, Travis Hunter? No disrespect to the young brother. I'm a fan. But bruh, slow this down. Put the marriage on ice. I need him to put that marriage on ice for about 2 or 3 years and don't have any children out of wedlock while that marriage is on ice. My fear, Art, is he's going to run into the queen of his dreams and it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late. So I just think the brother moving too fast. So many of our black athletes, they run into these non-black women in college, and they just think that that's what their life is all about. She's the best thing since life bred, not to demean any woman of any culture, but we should be with our own women. And one thing I appreciate about Deion Sanders, although I'm still not happy with the move he made to Colorado, making all that money for a predominantly white college that does nothing for black people. But nonetheless, one thing I do respect about Coach Prime, you don't see his sons doing that. You don't see Shedeur and the other brother, the cornerback with a safety, the other Sanders, what's his name? Shiloh Sanders. Shout out to Shiloh. Forgive me for forgetting your name there, young prince. But you don't see Shedeur and Shiloh being all booed up with no girl in college. You notice that? You always see them by themselves. You don't see them. I've never seen any photo of either.
Jason, Dynamics, is that reminds me what you just said when you talked about instilling the values.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
I didn't want to forget to say that.
Mm-hmm.
The one of them, Shedeur or Shiloh, booed up with any girl, black or white, in college because they father not having that. Deion Sanders knows how this goes. He knows how women will try to hitch their cart to your wagon. He knows how this goes. And I think he had to sit down with Shiloh and Shedeur and said, listen, y'all can have all the fun y'all want. You better be protecting yourself and you better not be getting booed up with no woman. You built this. We built this. If you're going to choose a woman, you're going to choose her with this head, not the other one. And so I appreciate Deion Sanders for not allowing his sons to fall into the same trap that it appears Travis Hunter has fallen into. You know, it's such a shame. Such a shame. So unfortunate to be that great and to still be a victim of the snow bunny crisis. It's just ridiculous. Now, some people are saying she's mixed race. Some people are saying she got a black mom, black dad, but that doesn't mean anything to me because, as you know, although I consider mixed race Africans to be black, as long as they identify full time, I have seen no evidence that Travis Hunter's girlfriend has ever identified as a black woman, ever. So even if she's biologically African and has a black parent, for me and most Pan-Africanists, you have to not only be biologically black, you have to be psychologically black. And I haven't seen any proof at all that Travis Hunter's girlfriend identifies as a black woman. But again, no disrespect to her. This is no hate to her. All we saying is we want to keep black money in the black community, and we want to keep black celebrities with our own black women. It's just a self-love thing. It has nothing to do with hate. And I just hope the brother wakes up and realizes what's going on before she takes half of what he's about to earn.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that she came out and said that she didn't find him attractive, I mean, that's very telling, man.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier when she said that when she said that Travis Hunter wasn't really her type. So to your point, Art, what you just said, you know, she said she wasn't really attracted to him at first. What is that telling you? Is that not the writing on the wall? The woman went so far as to tell people she was not attracted to you. So why is she with you? The same reason everybody else's white wife is with them, for money and status. For money and status. And for him to hear her say that and stay with her, I'm very disappointed. But again, I got faith in a young brother. I like him. He's good spirited, good energy. Doesn't seem like he got a whole lot of political education, but a lot of our black athletes don't, right? They've been surrounded by white folks their whole life and black people who ain't thinking about teaching them about who they are, only trying to maximize their profit for the power structure in the sports entertainment industry. I just hope somebody wakes Travis Hunter up. I'm tired of seeing this play out over and over again. He is too young to be settling down with a girl he just dated in college, who, as you said, claimed that she was never her type in the first place. You know, maybe he need to talk to Jamie Foxx, because when I looked at Jamie Foxx's special that he just had on Netflix, you know, he kind of alluded to the fact that he was kind of done with the snow bunny crisis. Now, of course, Jamie Foxx was joking, because somebody sent me a replay of the clip on Netflix where Jamie Foxx said, you know, no white girls in public or no snow bunnies in public or whatever the case. So he ain't done dating outside the race. But it does sound like he's thinking about it. And it does, for Jamie Foxx to say that, Art, I think it does kind of signify that he's starting to realize he's going to need a black woman beside him for the second half of his life. And even though he was joking, there's always a little bit of truth in the joke. And I think everything Jamie Foxx went through with this stroke that he had and how he could have lost his life, and his daughter, you know, really helped save him with the blessing of the Most High. I think Jamie Foxx is thinking a little differently now, Art. And I think Jamie Foxx is beginning to appreciate the value and the importance of having a black woman in his life. I would be surprised if Jamie Foxx retires without having a black woman next to him. Maybe Travis Hunter.
Maybe Travis Hunter needs to do the same thing. Okay, so let me stop. Did I stop sharing? Yeah, I did. But yeah, I wanted to share that because that made me think about what you were saying in terms of instilling these values. And
you know,
it's rough.
When you start to see and you become aware of the things that have been strategically taken from our community over the years and generations, shit that we've labored for, shit that there is a statistic that says 400 of the wealthiest whites in this country make up the same net worth as 41 million blacks in this country.
Mm-mm-mm.
100, the following 100 whites make up the net worth of blacks and Latinos. And on a social economic level, one of the things that we see happen with our community is that we start over every generation. We don't have
Yeah.
assets that we pass down.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have generational wealth. And that's not an indictment to our grandparents. That's not an indictment to our great grandparents. It's not necessarily an indictment to our parents. What that does tell me, though, is when you look at it from a larger standpoint, right? You look at it on a macro scale, what you actually start to see is that there were a lot of a fucking unbelievable amount of things that have just been snatched from people of color that have strategically left them in this position. So when we see a Travis Hunter, who is like a genuinely, you can look at this kid and hear him talk. You know the little nigga's genuine.
Yeah.
You know he's got a good spirit about himself, whoopty whoopty whoop, and you root for that shit because that's innate to who we are. And I know at 22, 21, however old he is,
Mhm.
I know for him to retain that takes a lot of strength for him to retain his identity in this respect. It
Yeah.
does, right? And not to succumb to all the other shit. That being said, the stakes are fucking high. And we're already losing as it is on a global scale.
Mm-hmm. Are you frozen? This nigga's frozen. Are y'all still? Wait a minute. StreamYard said enough is enough. What is going on? Can y'all still hear me? Rooks, do you see how this dude is? Look at Jason. Rooks, is he frozen or is it just me? I'm gonna have to clip this part. This is a fool right here. Look at this shit. Lord, I don't know if I should drop him from the panel and make him come back up or what. Okay, you can hear. Yes, we hear you. Okay, let's drop. He froze. Rook said he froze. Okay. Oh, he dropped himself. Okay, he'll come back up. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I just feel like it's this dude's own little life, and I get that, but I do. Dynamics is, and I think it takes a whole bunch of different people to make this world go round. And right, that's the man, right? He started talking about the wrong shit. You see what I'm saying? What you call it? He just texted me. He said that's some wild shit, right? See, I'm gonna watch what I say. This is some bullshit, right? He said my internet went smooth out. Oh, his internet went out. Right. Watch what you say. They listening. That's what they say. They listening. God damn it. Oh, he's back. They let him back up. The man let him back up. Wait, you see what Rook said? That's the man, right? You start talking about the wrong shit. Nirvana, he is
Man.
frozen. Look at Marianne. Everybody's chiming in like he's frozen.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy.
No, but yeah,
I've never seen that. But let me just say this though, on that note,
yeah,
before we move, is it's just the fact that
look, it happened again, you
and
guys.
you can't ignore that.
Oh, there he goes. You froze again.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I didn't know that, but it's just these things are at play. And you can't ignore the consistency of these types of details that have been plaguing us as people. And so to see a young man who is coming into an opportunity to have generational wealth. That fucking concerns me. It concerns me because this is not opportunities that everyone is afforded.
Right.
And for any at any point, right? It doesn't matter. Shit, there's I've lost a lot of shit in divorces that was fucked up because of the way the laws are constructed, right? Didn't matter rights or wrongs. It didn't matter. None of that shit mattered at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I'm a dude. And when it comes down to it, you lose. So more often than not, you do.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate to get custody of my daughter, but that was because her mother participated in that. If she didn't participate, ain't no fucking way they would have gave me custody of her. Ain't no fucking way. And I did a hell of a job. My village did a hell of a job helping raise her. But and to this day, I thank her profusely because of that, because she could have done differently. That being said, god damn, and we struggling in this motherfucker to figure out infrastructure, shit that we can do to set and then not only just our kids, but your community up for success, long-term success, viable success, and get people out of this fucking bullshit that we're in on a consistent basis. And I see that across the board. There's a lot of us are struggling. A lot of us are trying to just make it. And I get that. So I can't sit here and in good conscience and just be like, it is what it is. Oh yeah, whatever. He'll learn it. Yeah, but some people don't come back from shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of homeless motherfuckers that you see in your neighborhoods, and you ask them. I guarantee you, if you talk to 10 motherfuckers, 10 homeless people, and you ask them what led them out there, I guarantee you, parental shit, jobs, and relationships are going to be the top 3 things you're going to hear. Top 3 things that got people into those positions. Some people don't recover.
What about personal accountability?
In what respect?
What part does that play in? I when you were talking about homeless, I mean, this could be anything, but no, not just homeless, not just home. It just crossed my mind when you said that, and when you start saying what led and what all the, it made me think about, because I'm reading that book, so it made me think about
personal accountability,
the type of questions we ask ourselves, and taking accountability. Stop blaming the man. Stop blaming social economics. Stop blaming da 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 da. I'm not saying they don't play a part. What I'm saying is every day that we wake up and and we choose to move forward in our own personal lives, we have to take ownership. And if it's not going the way you think it should go, what can you do different? Because I know so many people that sit on their porch, or I'm just using, in theory, whatever, on their stoop, and just talk shit about what all could be different or should be different. But what are you doing? And I know you do things or whatever, but what is it that you're doing? Not just running your lips because you got them, but that you're actually doing to make things different or better if you truly care. And if you don't truly care, why are we still talking about it?
Yeah.
That's
I would say on that one, there's that's 2 questions though, right?
Okay.
It's 2 parts to that. Is there a personal accountability? Yes. Because that's usually evidenced as to, and then what, right? So my circumstances, what it was, this is how I got here. Okay. But moving on from here on, so and then what? That's the accountability piece. That's when that factors in, because there's nothing I can do about what has happened. All I can do is take the moment that I have now and move forward. What I'm actually addressing though is the early part of it though, because there's some things that we play party to and then give people, challenges to overcome that they didn't necessarily have to have that challenge, right? You don't have to have every challenge that you have, that you had to overcome. Yeah, and so again, the way the cards are dealt, the way circumstances work out, again, there's so many variables. But what I am saying though is there are some things that I can work to avoid. I can work to not try to speak too early in life or whatever point, being mindful of that. And then the things that I have, like for instance, there's shit that I have to deal with on a regular basis. Could some of that be from my point of origin? Yeah, absolutely. A lot of it is. But and then what is this? But what am I doing about it? Right. And so that's the other part. So I think there's two pieces to that same statement. I don't think they're all one and the same, because to only accept personal responsibility is to ultimately ignore the uniqueness of a person's journey and the things that have factored into how they became who they are. Right.
Yeah,
Because
it
those
plays
things
a
are,
part.
yeah, it plays a part. Those things are significant, right? You can't tell me that a person who, you know, grew up starving, and then has issues with scarcity. You can't tell me that, well, your starving thing was a statement, a figment of your imagination. No, nigga, we was starving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we really didn't have food. It is what it is, right? Um, yeah, I had to hustle growing up. I had to quote unquote get it out the mud, right? But at this point in life, do I continue getting shit out the mud? Or am I still in the mud at the point now when I'm capable of making decisions for myself?
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's where the difference comes in, to me at least.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so two things can be true at the same
Yeah.
time.
Right.
Two things can really be true. Um, so I just like to look at the whole picture, and for me, it's like, it doesn't absolve, hey, I have a responsibility to do what the fuck I need to do. My kids will have a responsibility to do what they need to do, but I also have a responsibility to be mindful that I'm not adding extra shit on them that they don't need to have to deal with.
That's the thing. Yeah, adding extra
Right.
shit on.
So, you know, um, I try to minimize, man. I wanna do my best to be a great example and do my best to kind of give them the tools and the resources that they need, and then open up what doors I can while I'm here, so that they'll have a easier way, or a more efficient way, and so
I
build
think,
on these blocks.
and I think it, and I really do feel like every scenario is case by case basis, and I really feel like, if I'm talking to whoever's listening, or think, as a whole, that we all have our own little life that we're living in, our own little pocket that we live in. And so when you hear things and you hear people talk about things, you extract what you can and you apply it to your life and however way it fits you in that moment. So, you know, going back to kind of what 702 said, I feel like that a lot of times too, where it's just like, I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of trying to help. I'm tired. I'm over it. Do whatever you gonna do. What makes you happy, do it. And we do get there, and that's okay too. I mean, again, like I said before, it's a whole bunch of people to make up this world, and everybody's not going to be in the same headspace. At the same time all the time. And so we all have to respect each other's boundaries. It takes a dynamicist, for example, you know what I mean, to care enough. It takes the person who may say, fucking get it out the mud, do you? I don't, I got my own problems. That's true too. And again, like with everything I say, I think that a lot of shit is balanced. And know your audience, know your child, know your sibling, know your coworker, know whoever it is that you're dealing with. Know the person, your audience, and handle them accordingly, but not to your own detriment. And I really believe that you have to have a balance and make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So as much as we may love Travis, I'm gonna use Travis just as an example because that's how we started. But as much as everybody doesn't want to see Travis fall and wants to help Travis, that's fine. But you don't help somebody to your detriment. So always, and one thing for me too is making sure, and I was joking with somebody when I said this the other day, but I meant it too. But I mean, you know how I do. But they were talking about something. They wanted me to watch something, right? And it was some old toxic bullshit, right? Which hey, I love it every now and then.
Who
It's
sent
fun.
that to you, Tia?
No. No, you stupid. Tia, that was him. Yeah, so no, but yeah, so anyway, I was like, yeah, because I'm here for the shits too. It should be funny as hell. But as I was talking to her, I said, I'm gonna meditate first. I was joking, but I was like, but in all seriousness, grounding, like for me, is really a big thing right now. She said, "Look here, little man. Listen, grounding myself is really important, and I think it's important for all of us to. I mean, again, you do this when you feel fit or however you decide to do it." But we always have to make sure, you guys, that we're okay before we extend ourselves to others. So before the dynamicist can be the person and man that he wants to be for his children, for his family, for me, because I need him on a regular basis, he's got to make sure that he's solid, because there's going to be, the world is going to require things of you, especially if you're open to it. If you're telling the Lord, make me, I'm available to be used. If you are that person, then make sure that you are grounded and that you are in a space where you can be used efficiently.
I agree with
Otherwise,
that.
we're just spinning our wheels.
I agree with that. And that's my whole piece right there. This is why I stand on what I stand on, and I believe what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so, do I hold myself to a higher standard or to a standard? I absolutely fucking do. I do. Do I work to live out the reality of that? Absolutely. Is that solely just for my sake? No, but a majority of it is. It's because it's the thing that resonates with me the most. And so I'm not a big fan of talking about shit. I'm a big fan of doing shit
Mm-hmm.
and being the representative of what it is that I actually do believe in.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm telling you about fucking, praying, fasting, telling you about whatever, meditating, telling you about, hey man, there's another way, you can best believe that I'm searching for those other ways myself.
Mm-hmm.
So being the embodiment of what it is that I believe. Absolutely. That's just what I hold myself to. And I try not to give myself too much room for negotiation in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I keep it fluid. So, that being said though, when it comes to this type of topic, it is a little bit more serious. I feel it a little deeper because of the things that I'm aware of, and I see this. I see struggles and I hear struggles daily. I hear them and I deal with people's struggles, and we work to come up with creative solutions to those problems and those situations. And that, hey, we in there with it. Do I know though that there are some societal things that also play a role? Absolutely. There's a lot of societal shit. Um, if you see it only from if you can only see societal issues when it's based on gender, but don't see the societal issues as based on the color of your skin, you're missing the forest for the trees.
Mm-hmm.
There are those things out here, and you may not be exposed to them. Are there social issues based on your income bracket? Hell fucking yeah. Is
Yeah.
there access to resources that you don't have that you should have because of your socioeconomic status? Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't only see one part of the story. You can't be eyes wide shut.
Mm-hmm.
And I only see an aspect that affects me, but I'm ignorant, or I ignore the aspects that affects those that stand right next to me. No. Is there a such thing in this world as male privilege? Hell fucking yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is. So I can't sit here and act like, well,
You have the same opportunities. Even
and
pretty
I'm always
privilege.
afforded. Yeah,
Pretty
there's
privilege.
that one.
All of
Shit,
that.
pretty. And that was actually going to be a whole fucking podcast topic one day, was pretty privilege, because there is a real fucking thing about pretty privilege. There's a real life scenario that plays out in most of our experiences, where opportunities are afforded to those who look the part
Aesthetically pleasing, yes.
in whatever way.
Yep.
And most people who have privilege don't even realize that they have it,
And
because
that's
it's
for men and women.
oh, that's men, women, culture, race, nationality. That shit goes across the board. Because you don't realize that the scenario or the decks, you think all the decks are the same. They're not all the same. And so because of that, I think that's where sensitivity has to come into play, right? LGBTQI pieces, right? Is there some real shit that's out there based on your sexual orientation? Hell fucking yeah, there is. There's a lot of bullshit that people deal with just because I like who I like, I love who I love, I represent, I identify how I identify, whatever the case may be. There's shit that people run into that I would never fucking know because I don't fit the description.
Right.
So those things I'm not affected by directly. That doesn't mean that that's an opportunity for me to say, oh, well, that doesn't really exist. No, it does exist.
Right. And you know what? Let me say this too. When it comes to that, this is with anything. The communication and communicating with people that are different and understanding and being open to hear their perspective is very important, because I think a lot of times we get caught up in our little bubble, and that comes to your point about traveling and getting out and doing things if you can help it, and making it a priority, because you get stuck in your little hole, and it's hard for you to see anything outside of that, and you're really limiting yourself, because there's a lot of shit that I don't understand or I don't know because I don't live it. But I'm also aware, and I try not to judge, especially if I don't understand. Whereas a lot of people, you're just quick to say that, whatever your opinion is, and spew that shit out. But if it's done to you, it's not okay. You don't like it. It's not fair. Blah blah blah. But until you have spoken to someone who's living it, who's breathing it, whatever that is, you really don't understand their plight, so you can't be empathetic. And without empathy, it's hard to really understand and
Understand.
to
Yes.
grasp. You need the empathy piece. So don't be so quick to judge without knowing or getting to know someone else's
Yeah.
plight, because you're
Yeah.
doing yourself a disservice.
In a real way.
Yeah.
In a real way. And I think that's something that um there's a open movement I think is happening with that, and people are having conversations. And right now, those conversations are somewhat safe, but there's coming a point where people, if when we consider ourselves friends and we consider ourselves loved ones, um, we've got to be open to having those hard conversations. And hard conversations require listening
Yeah.
and requires that I pivot sometimes because it may be uncomfortable. That doesn't mean that it's not right. And it doesn't mean that it's not helpful. Shit, working out don't feel comfortable. I can tell you that shit. But does it benefit you? Absolutely. Can it become comfortable? Absolutely. Especially up until you start pushing your limits again. And then it becomes uncomfortable all over again.
Right.
So there's a lot of value to it. And I think what we need more than anything else right now is really open ears and hearts, open ears, minds, and hearts, so that as we understanding like this generation that's coming up behind us, understand them like, and they're different. Them little mugs is different.
Yeah.
They operate different, but it doesn't mean that they're wrong, right? But I think being open to it, and the generations that are still present that came before us, they got a lot of shit to share, a
Yeah.
lot of shit to share. And so let's be and being open to it and listening and hearing, gaining the perspective,
And
so
listening
that
to
we
our
can.
children. I mean, I think that's a big one. You touched on that earlier too. And what we're gonna wrap it up here in a second.
Yeah.
But speaking and just knowing that when it comes to our youth and our children, that they do have a voice. And so yes, you may have more wisdom because you've been here longer and things of that nature. And yes, you know that the stove is hot, and if they put their hand in it, and we're gonna guide them. But they have, they have a voice, but but at the end of the day, you live by example. So if you out here wilding out, if you are out here not being the best person you could be, and I'm not saying that make you have to be perfect. What I'm saying is your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, they're looking at you whether you think they are or they aren't. And I'm following this story. I'm not going to go into it, but it's going on trial here about uh, a girl who ended up being murdered in Detroit, a young girl, 13 years old, last year, and her trial is getting ready to start. But it would a big piece of this would I guess attracted me to the trial is it's so many people who had to testify in the preliminary hearing because it's a circumstantial trial. And it's a young Black girl, and there's so many people in her life that failed her, and looked the other way, and everybody's just living their little life, and their own shit in their own bubble. As close as they are, you could be in the same house with the motherfucker and not give a fuck, but you think you're doing okay because they're eating every day, but you're not really involved, so. And I'm gonna circle it back to Travis, okay, and then I'm done. But again, to the dynamic's point, where did we fail? Where did we fail him or our kids or our people? You know what I'm saying? Who and I'm using fail, but because I don't really like that word so much, but you know what I'm trying to get at here. Like, what could
I
we have done different?
I love that word. I love that word. I think our association with that word needs to change, because I have a series that I'm going to do is called Teach Me How to Fail. And the idea behind that is really challenging the narrative. because we're so afraid of that term. So yeah, there are things that we fail at. That's our learning opportunity right there. That's it. That's the piece. That's where we can learn from right there. So I think as parents, yeah, there's areas that I fucking missed the mark. I failed miserably in that area.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay though. That's not the end of the story. That's a page. That's a paragraph in this bitch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's I don't know. I've never been in a course, and I've gone through a lot of school and might be going back again. I ain't never seen where nigga one failure and that's it.
Right.
That's
Right.
I'm done. No,
Right.
nigga, I've got some F's.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I still got my 5th grade report card.
You do?
I sure the fuck
From
do.
Ascension?
No, 5th grade, I was in Hawaii.
Where you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was in Hawaii going through the shit. And I keep that shit because that actually is right now, it's that report card is in the same plaque with my degree. The
Mm-hmm.
exact same plaque.
You had all
Because,
F's.
not all F's, nigga. I had several of them motherfuckers in there.
Oh, okay. Then he's had several. Not all, nigga. Shit, all but one. Goddamn.
I had several, nigga. PE, nigga, I was a fucking B minus or some shit.
Come on, it's an average, motherfucker.
I was doing all right, PE. but no, but that's a reminder for me though, because look at that was a moment in time that didn't stop me from getting multiple degrees. That didn't stop me from actually realizing that I have a love for learning. That didn't stop that. But that was a part of my journey that I need to reconcile. I had to become one with that shit because it is what it was. And I don't mind it. It's like shit, that shit is proud of me. Because I tell you what, them young ones that came after me, them niggas didn't go through none of that shit. They didn't have none of that. But your daddy did. Your daddy was off on some wild shit at a period of time. But that's the beauty of our journeys though. So anyway, I don't mean to diatribe on that
But let
shit,
me
but
ask this too. Let me ask, because that's who I was talking about, Isaiah Harris. That's the story that I started to follow. Um I don't know how easy or hard it would be, but I would love to follow this story a little bit on the podcast. I'll talk to the dynamicists about how that could look, maybe if you guys are interested. And I'm not talking about sitting here watching the trial on the podcast, but maybe bits and pieces, because for some reason, and this is rare for me, this story really fucked with me a little bit. Like I was watching it, while I was working, but I was watching the preliminary, and it's like it is crazy. Same thing happened to, okay, look at this, Auntie's husband, Ayanya Sawyer. That sounds familiar. 2018, same story. Okay, yeah. So it's happening too often, in our community, and so it comes back to I don't know. We'll see how this could work. We'll see.
yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know how specific we want to get with
If
the story.
if it can be helpful, I'm with it. Like if it could be helpful in any way,
Yeah, and same
you
story too
know,
often.
reaching out, speaking out, seeing the issue. Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
because I'm one of the first people that'll be like, oh well, fuck yeah, I don't give a damn. Ain't got shit to do with me. You know what I'm saying? But y'all laugh, but this sobriety shit, I'm telling you, I know it sounds funny because I'm saying at random spots, but the shit will hit me every now and then. It'll be like some things really I've changed with my way of thinking in some ways. Now I'm not no activist. Now I ain't trying to save I ain't about to go out here downtown and try to find somebody to save. No. What I'm saying is that the storyline is so many people turn the other cheek with this young girl. It is just, and I'm anyway. Bye. Let's go. Because okay, we love y'all. Look how
Yes.
it's sick, right?
Yeah, I didn't hear about it, but We need to know what's going on.
The aunt knew, right?
Oh,
yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah, right. You lock her up too. Yeah, come on. We're gonna talk about it. See, y'all, I didn't know y'all knew nothing about it. Look, like they don't know nothing. I always think they don't know nothing. Why do I do that? I do that to my husband too. I gotta stop doing that. All right, Dynamic says, I love you.
Love you too. Love you
I
too.
love
Thank
you.
you guys for coming, man. Thank y'all for being here tonight. It's always a pleasure. Appreciate you.
And we'll be
Always.
here
And so,
next week.
are you working next week or you're off?
No, I'm working. I'll be around.
We'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So we'll see you guys next week.
Okay, bye, y'all.
And until then.
Yeah, I'll look it up, Brooks. Thank you guys so much for coming. We
Yeah,
appreciate it and we love you.
Love you
Bye.
too. All right.